Hi, welcome to New Hope Lutheran and Pastor Charlie's Toolbox. Today, I'm trying to figure out the best way to fasten this piece of aluminum to this piece of wood. My idea is that I'm just going to screw it in using a regular wood screw the way I fasten one piece of wood to another one. Just like that. It comes apart real quick too if I need to take it apart for some reason. I have a problem though. Yeah, just one problem. The screw, it won't go through metal. It's not going to happen. Now, I suppose there might be other ways to fasten this. I could use something like tape, but that doesn't seem like much of a long-term solution. I might try some kind of glue, but that can be messy and it takes a long time to dry. And what if I have to take it apart at some point in the future? I just like using wood screws, you know, and that's that. But of course I've run into a problem. How am I going to get a wood screw through metal? Now, the easiest answer here is that I could just drill a hole through it and look here. Gee, I just happen to have a drill press sitting here all ready to go. There, one hole, and it's done. I made it work in spite of what you might have thought. See? You know, this whole process reminds me of how we can get into trouble with others when we're just bound and determined to have our own way and we get real stubborn about it. Some people might tell me, oh, you know, you shouldn't mix wood and metal together to make something. You know, who do you think you are? Others might say I'm being too fussy because I want to use wood screws for this project. Some might ask why I wouldn't use self-tapping screws because they drill their own hole through. There are all kinds of arguments that could happen just because I want to fasten some metal to wood using wood screws. Now, according to our lesson for today, that starts in James 3, when we try to get our own way just because we want to have our own way, it's one of the greatest causes for fights and arguments. This lesson starts out asking, who is wise and understanding? And it answers that having wisdom means also having some humility. It then explains that not admitting that we have these selfish desires and that they're the cause of our wanting our own way, it's, well, what's a nice way to put it? It makes us the total opposite of being wise. And James then takes this a little further to explain that it is our motives that can cause us problems. Why are we being so stubborn? And whenever we want something just for our own selfish benefit, James says we're asking for trouble. And that's especially true when we ask God for something just because we want it for ourselves. It's not to share, it's just for a selfish reason. And then when something doesn't happen for us, it's possible then that evil will tempt us to think, God doesn't care about us. And here we have to keep in mind that evil is always wanting to tear us away from God, just trying to rip us away. And that's evil's job description, you see. I know there are a lot of ways to fasten metal to wood. I know that's common practice in construction. And I suppose I could have used a number of other ways to do this. Maybe in this case I got a little carried away because I wanted to do something my way, even if it takes the extra step of having to use the drill press. Maybe what we can all learn from this is that we can avoid a lot of conflict and grief when we're open to other ideas. It doesn't mean we have to accept them all, but it can help us to understand another's point of view, and in that way make the very best decisions in God's eyes rather than our own.